What's up, everybody? Welcome back to John's Fantasy Football Show. It's actually an improvised version of John's Fantasy Football Show. This is actually just a makeup for last week where we had zero content. We had no fantasy football show. We had no Dorm Debate podcast. So you're gifted with 2 episodes of John's Fantasy Football Show. And this week John decided to text me this morning and say, we got to do a show on injuries and waiver wire and everything that happened last week, because there is a long list of injuries. So John thought that he couldn't fit it into just 60 seconds on TikTok. So we decided to gift you guys Merry Christmas with an extra fantasy episode. So John, how are you doing this week? Did you win in your leagues or no?
Doing good. I won. I actually lost in our league that we're in. I lost in one of the other leagues that I'm in first, but then my other league that I'm undefeated in, I stayed undefeated. So I'm still 12-0 in that league. So not too great. I guess I lost 2 out of the 3 leagues that I'm in this week, but I still like my matchups going forward.
I like it. All right. So we're going to start off the first topic. We only got 2, but it's what to do about the running back situations. There are a lot of injuries. And are there any backups that you would prioritize over some other ones? We saw Hilliard, your weekly pick, score 18 points. He had a big, 60-yard run for a touchdown. So he hit in your weekly picks. There's some other guys on here: Chuba Hubbard, Jamal Williams, Alexander Madison. I know Dalvin Cook went down with an injury. We'll get to how long he's out for. But let's start off with the running back situation and any of those backups. So who do you like as far as running back backups in this league right now?
Yeah, so like you said, I just wanted to come on and give you guys some clarity because there are so many running backs that are injured. Zeke injured, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. That backfield is a mess. The Jets backfield, the Ravens backfield, the Bills backfield with Breida getting a touchdown. We saw Kamara and Ingram are both banged up. And then the Titans backfield, what to make of that? Cook getting injured, Deebo Samuel getting injured. So many injuries that have to do with the backfield. And I wanted to give you guys some clarity because, like Jared said, there's really not enough time. I post a 20 to 30-second video on TikTok every Tuesday, which I'll be posting this week, that just says like 3 guys you need to pick up on waiver this week. And it's just not enough to basically explain all the situations. But basically, the number one priority to pick up if he's not rostered in your leagues is Alexander Madison. Now, Cook kind of went down awkwardly on a play that the defender extended his arm, hit Cook in like the upper side of the chest, and Cook like fell awkwardly. It turns out he has a dislocated shoulder and a torn labrum. And Cook actually had this injury, a similar injury in 2019 at the end of the season. And he missed 2 weeks with that injury and came back the 3rd week. And in that 3rd week against the Saints in the divisional round of the playoffs, he had over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So this is good news for Dalvin Cook owners because you know that even if he sits out, he's probably going to miss at least 2 to 3 weeks, I would say. I would say you might be able to expect him back in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So that would mean right in time for the fantasy football playoffs. So if you have Cook, don't trade him, don't drop him or anything. He could come back for the fantasy football playoffs and he could get over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns like he did a couple years ago. So Alexander Madison, if he's not rostered, you have to pick him up because in 2 games that he started, Dalvin Cook missed 2 games this season, week 3 against Seattle and week 5 against Detroit. Both bad run defenses, but Madison had 34 touches in each of those games, and he had 23 fantasy points in the first one and 26.3 fantasy points in the second one. So basically, if Madison starts this week against the Lions, he got 26.3 fantasy points earlier in the season against them. Now, I'm not saying he's going to blow up for at least that amount. I'm just saying he's got a really solid floor, and the Vikings really trust him. Number 2 on the list is Dontrell Hilliard. He was one of my weekly picks. There was talk about him getting more carries, more touches out of the backfield. He's still the pass-catching back with Jeremy McNichols out. McNichols still does have a concussion, so he's still not cleared to play. But the Titans do have a bye this upcoming week, so I would definitely monitor that situation. but I would still pick up Hilliard if you can. And number 3 is Deonta Foreman, his counterpart. They split carries. Basically, both of them went over 100 yards. Hilliard found the end zone while Foreman didn't, but Foreman's still a good ad. Number 4 on the priority is Chuba Hubbard. And a lot of you guys might be asking, well, why? How does that make sense? Why do you have Hubbard so low on the priority? Why would you rather have Hilliard than Hubbard? Isn't McCaffrey out for the season? Yeah, McCaffrey was just ruled out for the season, but Chuba Hubbard has not been producing even when he was the back, when McCaffrey wasn't there. Chuba Hubbard did not produce much at all. And Hubbard has really tough matchups coming up. I mean, he's going to be the starting running back. And this week they get a bye in week 13. Week 14, he plays at home against Atlanta. They give up the 4th most fantasy points to running back. So that's good. But then after that, he goes to Buffalo, home against the Buccaneers, and then at the Saints. Those are 3 of the top, basically 3 or 4 run defenses in the NFL. So I wouldn't even, if it was me, I wouldn't even use a waiver on Hubbard. I mean, you can if you're really desperate for running backs, but I would try to stay away from Hubbard. Let somebody else waste their waiver on him. And then number 5 is Jamal Williams. DeAndre Swift had that shoulder strain, didn't return to the Bears or against the Bears on Thanksgiving. He's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks. Dan Campbell did talk this week about Swift, and he said it would be surprising to me if he played on Sunday. So take that as you will. They play the Vikings. Jamal Williams would get a bulk of the carries if Swift wasn't there. So if you're looking for a guy for 1 to 2 weeks, I would be fine with using your waiver on Jamal Williams. After that, the 6th priority guy is Boston Scott. He had more touches and yards and fantasy points than Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders has been so disappointing, and Sanders tweaked his ankle late in the game. Now, if he misses next week and Jordan Howard misses next week, Boston Scott would be the lead back against the Jets, which is a really good matchup. So if you want to take the chance on Scott, you can. Maybe not waiver for him, but pick him up if you can, if nobody has him in free agency. And then the 7th priority, the bottom of the barrel, is the Jets running backs. I talked about them on my live. I really didn't like either of them. I liked Hilliard better than Ty Johnson and Tevin Coleman. And it turns out that Austin Walter found the end zone for the Jets, the running back, which, to be honest, I know every player in the NFL. Usually I know all the backups of backups, so I could predict fantasy. I had no idea who this guy was until he scored that touchdown. So if you can, just stay away from that Jets backfield.
I've never heard of that guy in my entire life.
Did you hear about him before I just said his name right now?
No, that was the first time I heard about it.
Yeah, so basically just stay away from the Jets backfield. But I did want to mention a couple other guys. If you guys have these players on your team, like AJ Dillon should definitely be rostered if he isn't already. I don't imagine he's not rostered unless you're in a 6-team league. Mark Ingram had a full practice yesterday on Monday for Thursday night's game. Tony Pollard should be rostered. CEH and Darrell Williams both should still be rostered, even though it looks like CEH is going to get more of the carries. And then the Houston running backs. And the Jets, basically Houston running backs, it's Burkhead and David Johnson. I would stay away from both of them. Ravens running backs, it seems like Freeman's the lead guy now. Latavius Murray, I would stay away from. And then the Bills running backs, I wouldn't even roster any of them. I don't roster any of the Bills running backs in any of my leagues and wouldn't even consider doing so. So that's the situation for all these backup running backs.
One thing I saw this week, Philip Lindsay, not old running back, but a guy who was good. I think he won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he was on the Broncos. I think he was Rookie of the Year. He was like the undrafted guy who had a really good season.
Went to the Dolphins. What do you think about that? They're
right,
kind of a stacked backfield with like 3 running backs that get touches.
Yeah, he was on the Texans, which is why now that he left the Texans, it's a little bit of an upgrade for Burkhead or David Johnson, but you're only playing those guys if you're really desperate. But as far as Lindsay, he actually did have 12 carries in his first game with the Dolphins, but I think he only had like 42 yards in that game. And Myles Gaskin is clearly the number 1 back. He had a direct snap for a touchdown, 2 touchdowns in that game. And they even like Salvin Ahmed, I think his name is. They even like him getting touches. So other than Gaskin, nobody else is even rosterable in that backfield.
And the Dolphins are on a hot streak.
They really are.
If you're really hurting for running backs, picking up Lindsay might be good because they're on a hot streak and they may keep it going and they may be beating teams left and right. Maybe get some garbage time points.
Yeah, could. I wouldn't trust it, but if you want to take the chance, you can. I don't really trust the Dolphins to get ahead by that much, although they did get ahead of Carolina a good amount this past week.
Oof, Carolina, man.
What a turn that took.
We were right. We said that once the hype died down, Cam would show his real self. Can't
I
throw the
know.
ball.
I mean, after that first game that they won, he only had 8 passing yards. And I remember coming on either this podcast or the dorm debate one and being like, guys, take a chill pill with Cam. He only had 8 passing yards. We didn't even see what he got to throw. I mean, DJ Moore was one of my must sits, and he actually had 14 fantasy points, which was right at his projection. If it wasn't for that 65 yarder that he caught, he would have been below 6 fantasy points. So it's like, other than these big plays that they're getting, it's really nothing for Cam.
He only completed like 9 passes. So like, how many went to freaking DJ Moore?
I think more went to the defense than DJ Moore, honestly.
Oh, the interceptions. Well, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about Cam and the Panthers on Dorm Debate Podcast. So tune in for that one on Thursday. Our next topic and our last one is just talking about all the injuries. I mean, I was watching the Vikings 49ers game. They cut to it. They're carting off Dalvin Cook. And I'm like, oh, John has him in fantasy. That sucks. That's really bad, but tough for Cook. And then I'm watching the next play. Deebo Samuel just goes down. Like, what is going on in this game?
Yeah, like what happened?
And then he goes down, and your weekly pick was Ayuk, and they just don't throw to him anymore.
They just want to keep giving it to Mitchell.
Yeah, they give it to freaking Mitchell, who also never heard of.
Really? You never heard of Mitchell?
Never heard of Mitchell. What's his first name?
Elijah Mitchell. Is he rostered in your...
Elijah Mitchell. No, I'm talking about the receiver they're passing it to.
Oh, Juwan Jennings.
Yes, Jennings. Yes.
I heard of him before, but I was like, that would have been nice if Ayuk caught that touchdown.
Right, exactly. But talk about these injuries and what they mean for the future of the fantasy football. But I mean, it looks like a lot of them might be back for the playoffs, so you might want to just keep them.
Yeah, so basically, I just wanted to talk about some of the injuries and what that means for their teammates. So one of the guys injured, obviously McCaffrey. I talked about him before. Who's the beneficiary of this? I don't really think anybody is. Honestly, it's a downgrade for DJ Moore. It's a downgrade for Cam Newton. Cam Newton shouldn't be started. I don't think. If you're going to start him, the only time to do it is against Atlanta in week 14. Other than that, I wouldn't start him any other week the rest of the season. DJ Moore really concerns me now because coming into the because
with all the targets that he got.
Yeah, because I know he's going to be the most targeted player, but now teams are like, okay, McCaffrey's not there, so we don't really have to worry about the run that much. I know Cam can run a little bit, but they're going to be like, all right, we know that this offense revolves around DJ Moore now, so let's just stop DJ Moore. So it's just. Plus, they played some pretty tough teams. I liked DJ Moore's matchups coming into them with Darnold at QB because Darnold throws the ball better than Cam. But now I'm really worried for DJ Moore. I don't even think Chuba Hubbard is worth a start unless it's week 14 against Atlanta. Other than that, his floor is super low and the ceiling is pretty capped by this just horrible offense. Another player, like you said, Deebo, he should be out 1 to 2 weeks with a groin strain. Obviously, beneficiary is Ayuk and Kittle. Obviously, Elijah Mitchell had a great game, but against the Seahawks next week, it should be Ayuk and Kittle. And like I said, Ayuk has 10 games in his career with 7+ targets. And in those games, he's averaging 20.2 fantasy points per game. So it's very possible that one of my weekly picks is Ayuk again this week, depending on how this week goes, if Deebo's ruled out and what the reports are on how they want to use Ayuk and how they want to use Kittle. But Ayuk, when he gets a lot of targets, he's been really good in his career. So Ayuk has to be rostered, has to be kept if you guys have him, because I mean, Deebo could easily be out for 2 weeks. It could even be 3 weeks. Groin. I pulled my groin when I was in middle school trying out for the school soccer team. And I missed tryouts, but they took me anyway because I was on the team the year before. But basically, it's like the groin, it doesn't take like 2-3 weeks. Obviously he didn't pull it, he strained it. And with all the medical professionals, they should be fine. but he could be out 3-4 weeks. So you need to keep Ayuk if you have him.
Yeah,
And
my
then,
dad pulled his groin, and I mean, he was a little bit older, but still, he was out for like 8 months.
oh,
Like,
wow.
like if depending on how badly it is,
Right.
it's like they never know. I mean, they did an MRI, so it's probably not too bad, but like those things just linger, and
Yeah,
and you
they
can't do
linger.
anything. You can't rush back. You have to like wait till it's fully healed. And the thing is, 49ers aren't in the playoff race. So what if like
Well,
two,
no,
3
they
weeks
are.
are they?
Yeah, they're in the hunt. I mean, they're actually in a playoff spot as of right now. They've been playing really well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they rushed him back.
Are they seriously in a playoff race right now?
Yeah. I
Don't they only
mean,
have like 5 wins?
yeah,
Is that enough?
exactly.
Is
Yeah, it
that enough?
is. Yeah.
What the
In the
heck's going
NFC,
on?
in the NFC, it is. The Giants are 1 win away from a playoff spot. They
Get
have
out of
4 wins.
Wow. If they were in the AFC, none of these teams would be in it.
Yeah, no. I mean, it was just a few years ago that we were saying, wow, the NFC is way better than the AFC, and now it's completely switched.
Oh,
The
completely.
NFC is struggling.
Oh, wow. They have 6 wins. So it looks like the wild card would be Rams, 49ers, and then it's Eagles, Vikings, and Falcons and Saints. And oh my God, what the hell?
Everybody's right there.
That's ridiculous. That is
Yeah.
ridiculous. I cannot believe that. Okay, so they need to get him back.
Yeah. And
Good, because I have Debo. So
did you see that stat that he's the first wide receiver in NFL history to have a rushing touchdown in 3 straight games?
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
They're
he
using him
had
like a Cordell Patterson.
I know. Even more, like he literally had 1 catch this past game and over 20 fantasy points as a wide receiver. Like how does that happen?
That's
He didn't have
funny.
1 catch for like 200 yards. That's impossible.
Oh my God, they're really just they saw Cordell Patterson and they're like, "Oh, we want Debo to do that."
Yeah.
All right,
And he
that's
can.
fine. That's
But
fine. It gets me points.
yeah, but anyway, if you have Debo, don't worry too much. If you have Ayuk and Kittle, definitely keep them. And then the next guy is Waller. I know you have Waller in one of your
I
leagues.
hate Waller.
He's been so frustrating.
Oh, that first game of the season, and he hasn't done diddly
He
since
hasn't done
then.
anything since then. Well, he's actually he did something to his knee.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
That's
Probably
what
just
he's saying. He just wants to take it easy. He wants to eat nachos. Um, but he's week to week, they say. I think he's probably going to miss 1 game, and then he'll come back next week. But if you have Waller, don't worry too much, because remember in the game that Waller missed, their backup tight end Foster Moreau had a touchdown in that game. I think he had around 15 fantasy points. So pick him up, throw him in there. Carr likes to target the tight ends, but this is an upgrade for Moreau and an upgrade for Renfro, because we saw in that Thanksgiving game, without Henry Ruggs, without Waller playing, it's Renfro getting most of the targets. So definitely try to start Renfro this week. Renfro could be a weekly pick depending on how Waller's status plays out. He's one guy I'm watching for this week is Renfro. Another guy is Henderson. Henderson was one of my weekly picks. He actually strained his quad in the final moments of the game. He should be fine, but if he were to miss, Sony Michel would be the beneficiary. And they're playing Jacksonville this week in LA. So if Henderson were to miss this game, Sony Michel has a very high probability of being one of my weekly picks. So don't use a waiver on him, but I'm just saying, if just keep an eye on Henderson's status. And if they're saying, oh, he's maybe a game time decision, pick up Sony Michel right away, stash him on your bench, because if Henderson doesn't play, Sony Michel will get over 20 fantasy points, I think. And then another guy, Aaron Jones. A lot of you guys asking Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, which one should I start? Turns out Jones played, only got 2 fantasy points while AJ Dillon got 20. They didn't want to rush Jones back, and they get a bye this week. I think after the bye, I think Jones will be back to the lead back. I think he's going to split time a little bit with Dillon, but I think Aaron Jones will get most of the carry. So don't worry too much if you have Aaron Jones, but I honestly don't roster Jones in any of my leagues because of how much Dillon is involved. So if you have Jones, I would be fine with you trading him away. Hopefully you guys watch my fantasy football playoff special podcast where I said go get Fournette, Henderson, Montgomery. and Mixon, because Mixon and Fournette just had 4 touchdowns. So hopefully you guys traded for him. And then the last guy is Zeke. They said the Cowboys reported, they were like, okay, we know Zeke has this knee injury. We might want to sit him for another week or two just to let him heal, because we know we're probably going to make the playoffs. Well, it turns out he actually had a full practice yesterday on Monday, and Tony Pollard owners are probably not happy about that, which it's a little confusing because like 2 days ago, they were like, all right, we might sit Zeke, to get him to rest up. And then he practices in full on Monday. And then even before the Thanksgiving game against the Raiders, remember he practiced in full on Tuesday, and Zeke owners were like, oh, this is great. He's practiced in full. He's fine. He's off the injury report. And then Pollard outplays him and out snaps him, out touches him. So it's a little concerning. Definitely monitor the reports. It's not a great matchup with the Saints, so I would consider sitting him. But honestly, that's your choice. Just keep the reports and see how much he's going to be limited. If he plays, I would be a little concerned about him. But if you have Pollard and Zeke doesn't play, then Pollard is definitely a good streaming option for this week.
I just saw that Mike McCarthy's out with COVID, so Dan Quinn's going to coach the team on Thursday.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
They're going to lose.
And I saw that Taysom Hill is now taking the first team reps for the Saints, not Trevor Siemian. So they're expecting Taysom Hill to start against the Cowboys, which could mean good for Mark Ingram or Kamara, good for that running offense, bad for the Cowboys because now the Saints are like, all right, we're done throwing the ball. Let's just try to run it and control the clock.
Is he what's his position in fantasy? Is he a tight end like last year? Double up on points.
Yeah, remember, I think he's definitely just reserved to quarterback now. I think they changed that to only be quarterback because he hasn't really played tight end at all. If anything, he's played more of receiver, I think, than anything else.
I could take that. I could put a receiver. I could put him as a receiver in or something. Make it work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, does that wrap up our short little quick
I think
episode?
so. I hope it gave some clarity. Tomorrow, or basically today for you guys, Tuesday, I'm going to be posting on TikTok my waiver wire pickups. Number 1 is going to be Alexander Mattison if he's not available. Number 2 will most likely be Hilliard. And then honestly, number 3 might be Jamal Williams. I really don't think Hubbard is going to be that good. But I just wanted to give you guys some clarity on all these running back situations. And I like Madison, Hilliard, Foreman. I don't like Hubbard. I don't think he's going to be that good. Jamal Williams, I like for a week. Boston Scott, I only like if Howard is out and Sanders is out, because that Philadelphia Eagles backfield is tough to trust. And then on the injury standpoint, I would say Ayuk, if you have him, keep him and probably start him. Pick up Moreau if you have Kittle, and then keep an eye on Michelle and Pollard this week if Zeke or Henderson is out.
All right. Well, it's make or break right now. Playoffs are right around the corner.
This is it. I know. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys did tune in to my live this past Sunday, I did go 4 for 4. I got some nice messages through DMs saying congrats on going 4 for 4. So I think my must sits were okay. One of them was Aaron Rodgers, which was really a bad call. He didn't hit 16 fantasy points the last 2 times he played the Rams. But I think the key is that when Rodgers plays at Lambeau Field, you can't doubt him. And that was the case. If it was in LA, it could have been a different game. But when Aaron Rodgers is at home, you just can't doubt him. So I learned my lesson there, but did go 4 for 4 on weekly picks. So hopefully moving forward, that's the case. Got to help you guys win your fantasy leagues.
You're like Wendy's out here handing out 4 for 4s.
4 for 4s.
Look at that. We're going to change our name to Wendy.
Yeah.
Great. Well, you did give a little sneak peek to what potentially could be your weekly picks too. So this was a very beneficial, quick podcast. Quick, and it's 24 minutes because we both talk. So that's fine. But I do want to let you guys know that our Dornbay podcast will be coming out on Thursday. So we'll see you guys then. But as you guys all know, the Fantasy Football Podcast, John's Fantasy Football Podcast, is coming out Saturday morning. So we'll also see you guys then. But please tune in to both, get those views up. And we're almost at 2,000. So if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, road to 2,000. And thank you guys so much. I saw we just passed, I think we might be past 140,000 by now on TikTok.
That's crazy. I don't know how We've done it. It's crazy.
I can't imagine that many people in one area.
I know. I can't even picture it. I know I'm sitting down on my live, and for me it's just I'm in my basement, like just like, staring at a screen, and then there's like 5,000-6,000 people looking through the camera. I can't believe like 5,000 or 6,000 people want to like sit on their phone and just like watch what I have to say about fantasy football. It's really crazy, but they're very thankful to have you guys listening and tuning in.
Oh, of course. I mean, I can't even like send something in the chat. Immediately as I click it, that thing's gone into the
Yeah.
fucking abyss. I can't. You'll never be able to see it.
You just
I
have
don't.
to spam the chat with freaking anything you can.
Bunch of emojis.
It's not even like if somebody asked me, like if somebody saw me in person or like DM'd me and was like, really, like, what's the trick to like getting your attention in the chat on the live? I would be like, to be honest, it's completely random, because if I see like if you do like a bunch of exclamation points, it doesn't catch my attention. It's not like if you do a bunch of like red alert, like alarm emojis, it's going to help, or if you do like red X's, or if you do like all caps, or if you do all lowercase, it doesn't even matter. It's like I look at one part of the screen,
I knew you were
and
gonna say that.
and then
Anything that comes up in that.
whatever question comes up right in that part of the screen, I'm answering. So it doesn't matter if it's long. Honestly, it's probably better off doing it just short. Like, and if you ask me like a bunch of questions, like, oh, this person or this person and this person or this person, or if you ask me like 3 different players, chances are I won't be able to read it before it skips to the next level. So if you just go like Waddle or Henderson, like just like really quick, like really short, this person or this person, then I'll probably see it. But it's all luck. If it comes up in that part of the screen that my eyes are locked in on, then you're golden.
It's impossible. I tried. I don't know what I was saying, but I kept saying it, and you never saw it. I mean, I must have sent it 10 or 12 times. It's just gone. And that was in the later part of the live when like no one was in there. Maybe
Yeah.
I say no one, but there's like 3,000. So it was better than the 5 or 6K that were in there, and
Yeah.
still nothing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining the lives and following on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all that. Really means a lot to us, and hopefully we can start producing some great content as we head out of the fantasy season and maybe transition towards playoffs and all that stuff. So we're super excited to be in the home stretch right now of probably our best season that we've ever had. Season
Yeah.
2. We call it season 2, but yeah. So we will see you guys on Thursday when we post the Dorn Bay podcast. Hope you guys come in and hang out with us. So we will see you guys then, and thank you guys for watching.